What's up YouTube, Silver Dragons here, and in this video I'm going to show you how to cast a ring like this one. I'm going to be using silver, but you could do it out of copper or gold or whatever you want to use. So let's do it! Thank you so much for watching my video, I sincerely appreciate it. This one here is on casting. I'm going to show you how to cast a ring just like this one. This was my first ever attempt. This is a silver ring. It's made out of pure 999 fine silver. It is unfinished and it's not totally perfect, as you can see, but it is beautiful and handmade and really cool. And if you want to work on finishing it and all that stuff, maybe I'll make a different video in the future on how to do that. But today I'm just going to show you how to cast it to get the general shape. So the first thing you're going to need to do is get some gloves on, because when you're playing with the clay, it gets a little messy. I'm going to use this mold right here. So throw some gloves on. Now I'm going to be using Delft clay to actually make the mold. It's a pretty simple process, but I will show you exactly how to do it, and I'll give you a little bit of tips along the way. So let me get some of my clay out here. All right, I just keep it in a bucket. So I got a bunch of Delft clay. Now this stuff is awesome. It's a little hard to work with if you've never used it before, but there is a couple tricks. So first thing you need to do is you've got your mold. You need to make sure you have a spot on your mold like this, 2 dots that will line up. That's gonna be really important later. So make sure if your mold doesn't have it, make a little notch right there with a nail or something. So we'll take our bottom half of the mold. This is, well, it's actually the male end. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna actually just fill it with some of this clay. All right. So pretty simple. You don't have to pack it down there a ton. Just have it packed pretty well. So I'm just packing it with my hand, no big deal. Now what you're gonna wanna do is take your scraper and we'll scrape off the top there. Boom. Okay, so now we got a pretty flat surface to work with. This is pretty much what you're going for right there. It doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, so this is the ring we're gonna be casting. This is a size 11, just like a comfort fit ring. So we're gonna be shooting for this. Now what you do, the next step is to push the ring halfway in there. So you want it a little bit off-centered, not completely in the center, and I'll show you why in a sec. But all you're gonna do is just push the ring in. Okay, so I got it in about halfway. No problem. All right, cool. So it looks pretty good. Now what you want to do is get some talcum powder. You can use other types of powder, but I like using talcum powder. For me, that works the best. So I got a little bag of it here. And all you got to do is just brush some on the top. This is going to be really handy for splitting the two halves of the mold apart. Okay, so we got a little bit of powder on there. And then if you wanted to, it's kind of actually probably a lot of powder. You can not squeegee, but blow some of the powder off with one of these little blower things. You probably don't want to use just your mouth, because you could get some liquid water on there and mess up the mold. So there we go. We got most of the excess stuff off. Okay, and then now the next step is going to be to put the other half of the mold on there. So we got part 2 of the mold. We need to find where they meet up, right? So that's very important. So you see that they meet up right there. We'll just squish that together like so. All right, pretty good. And now all we're gonna do is fill the top half with clay again. So we'll take our clay and we'll just press it in there. You wanna press it in pretty good. You don't have to jam it in there super hard, but you know, get it in there. You see I'm pressing down. You can use a hammer if you like to smash it in there if you want to pack it really hard, but that's not super necessary, I don't think. So just get it pressed in there, and then we're gonna take off the top like that. All right, perfect. So we're doing pretty good, we're almost done. Okay, so now the next step is to actually take this apart. Just be very careful when you do it, try and pull it straight up, and you can see the ring came out and it's just on half of it there. So awesome. Now we got to grab that ring and pull it out. So let me get some pliers here. Okay, I found my pliers. So now when you pull the ring out, just be very careful to not make any indentations in the mold that you don't want. Just try and pull it straight up and out. There we go. So now we have to make a hole, a channel for the actual metal to flow into to complete the cast. So this one here is actually the top. So we'll do it off of this half. Now, make sure the bottom half you move to the side because you don't want to ruin that when you're putting the hole in this. The best thing to use is a drill bit. These are hollowed on the inside. See these channels there? So that's going to really help to not mess up your mold when you put the hole in it. So I'm just going to do it right in the middle and just sort of on the edge of this, okay? So I'm just going to do it about right there and just press straight down. There it goes. And now what you want to do is sort of just feather it through a little bit. Now we need the silver to actually flow into the channel there. It's going to be just on the side. So I'm going to just use a little golf tee and sort of make a spot for the silver to flow into a little bit better. There we go. And again, this doesn't have to be totally perfect because we're going to clean all this up anyway. So we'll just get that looking good there. All right. Awesome. I like that. That's pretty good. You can sort of work at it and try and make it a little bit more perfect if you want. But I sort of go with the good enough because when I show you how we finish it, we'll get it to look a little bit better. So as you can see, the silver is going to flow in and then hopefully make that ring shape there. So now on this side, just take your finger and pat down all of this loose clay. There we go. So there, that should work pretty good. We got a good spot for the silver to go in. So next up is to reconnect these two and make sure you put them together where that spot is that we talked about before. That's the most important thing, because if you don't, it's not going to work out. So now this is ready to actually pour the molten metal into. So I'm going to take this over to the furnace and we'll get it all poured. Okay, so I'm over here at my pouring station. Now I am using an electric furnace to actually melt down the silver. I just set it to 2000 degrees and it works really well. If you've never seen the electric furnace that I use, it just looks like this. All right, so there it is, and then in the top is the crucible, and that's already got the silver all melted down, ready to go. So I'm just gonna set it right here, and I'll go ahead and I'll pour it in. You wanna make sure you pour it pretty fast. So let me grab it and we will fill it up. All right. Here it comes. Now, like I said, just pour it pretty fast. So there we go. And it's okay to sort of bubble it out. You don't want to have the silver go all the way to the edge of your mold there, because if you do, you can actually ruin the mold. So now let's give this about maybe a few minutes to cool down, and then we will see how the ring looks. Okay, so I let it cool down for a couple minutes, but I'm pretty anxious to see how it turned out. So let's pop it out of here and see how we did. Okay, looks like we got at least a full ring shape in there, which is good. So let's just pop this the rest of the way out. Make sure you're wearing gloves because obviously it gets really hot. So I'm just going to use this to push it out. There we go. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go put this in some water and just quench it so it cools it down really well, and then I'll be right back. Okay, so I got it quenched and I cleaned it off, and this is what we came up with. So this is actually looking really, really good. This is pretty much exactly what we want. We can see that it's almost all the way around the top complete. There's this little bit here where it didn't quite fill out, but that's okay. We're going for the handmade look, so this is gonna look great. And the bottom looks great as well. So this is gonna need some cleanup. So the next thing to do is gonna be to detach it from the sprue here. So let me go get my snips and I'll show you how we do that, and then I'll show you how we get it all cleaned up as well. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is take these cutters here and I'm just gonna go ahead and clip this silver off so it'll be separated. There we go. So now we have just the ring, and it still is connected right here, so I'm gonna go ahead and try and clip that off as well the best I can. So we'll just get it set up here. See, I'm gonna try and clip it at an angle so I don't damage any of the ring. We'll see how this goes. I think it'll be okay if I clip it just like that. So let's give it a shot. There we go. Let's see. Okay, yeah, it actually ended up being all right. So now we have the ring totally separated from the sprue, and we need to actually clean it up and shave it down. So I'm going to use my Dremel, and I'm just going to start going over the inside and the outside of the ring and get it all shaved down so it's nice and flat. So that's the next step. And you want to make sure when you wear glasses when you use this. I usually set it to about 20. And so here we go. Okay, so I got it all cleaned up with the Dremel, and this is what it looks like. Starting to look pretty sweet. So it's much more smooth than it was before, and there is some very unique character in this one. As you can see, it's got this sort of gash in it right there on the side. That looks pretty sweet. And then on the inside, there's this little bit right there at the bottom. And this part right here is a little bit thinner than the rest of the ring, but that's okay. I think it looks super awesome. I'm going obviously for like the handmade look, something that looks like it was made way back in the day. And you know, the thing about a ring is you want it to look cool, but you also want it to be comfortable. So it's very comfortable to wear, it fits great. So no issues there. So as far as finishing this one, I want to do it a little bit different than the other ring that I did, which I just sort of left the way it was. And I want to do a hammered finish. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to slide it over the edge of this handle right here on my jeweler's saw. And I'm going to use this little mini hammer, and I'm just going to sort of tap away, okay? So I'm going to do this off camera because it's kind of loud, but I'll come back and I'll show you what it looks like when it's all done. Okay, so I got it all hammered out, and this is what it looks like. Really, really cool. I think it's a beautiful way to finish your rings, to give them that old sort of hammered finish. They look like it was made back in the medieval times or something, but just really, really cool. So anyway, I'm probably going to polish this up to give it a final finish, but I really like the way it turned out, and still fits and everything, so that's great. But yeah, so that was just my tutorial on how to cast your own rings. Obviously, if you want it to look perfect, not have any imperfections, then I would probably suggest not using Delft clay, but actually use Petrobond instead, because you can get it a little bit better and then just really take your time on making the cast. And if you have any mess ups, you can always just redo it, so no worries there. But anyway, that was a video. I hope I could help teach you how to do it. If you were wondering how to do it yourself, or if you were just curious and wanted to watch a video, thank you for watching. I'll see you all in the next one. Silver Dragons out.